Welcome to Elements of Mechanical Engineering, Module 1. This is the second class. In last class, we discussed about important types of energy resources along with the energy concept. So, definition of energy. So, two important energy resources such as renewable and non-renewable energy sources. And we studied about different types of fuel: gaseous fuel, solid fuel, and liquid fuel, because fuel plays very important role for combustion, because after combustion, so you'll get a lot of heat. So with the help of that heat, you can perform different work. So for different applications, we have to use different types of fuel. So there may be solid fuel or liquid fuel or gaseous fuel. So we need to know what is the amount of heat. So what is the amount of heat liberated. So we have to measure that heat. So the whatever the measurement of this heat is with the help of calorific value of particular fuel. So calorific value is different for solid fuel, similarly different for liquid fuel. So that value varies with respect to fuel. From one fuel to another fuel, the value will be varies, and based on this whatever the heat, so that based on that one, so we need to select appropriate fuel for particular application. So that also we studied in the last class. Today we are going to study about important features of calorific value. So what do you mean by calorific value with respect to fuel, and what are the different types of calorific value. So this is the first topic today we are going to study. The another topic we are going to study about one of the energy resources, that is biomass energy. So in that also we have to study different types of sources for renewable energy, and also we need to study today two important environmental issues, that is global warming and ozone depletion. The first we'll discuss about calorific value. What is the characteristics of calorific value, we'll discuss in detail. Coming to the first point, that is calorific value. So calorific value is defined as energy liberated by complete combustion of a unique quantity of fuel. So calorific value is nothing but what is the amount of heat is liberated. So heat is nothing but energy. So energy is very essential to do certain work. It's nothing but capacity to work. So energy, so that is liberated in the form of heat when after complete combustion, so of unit quantity of fuel. To measure calorific value, so we need to consider unit quantity of fuel. Means in case of solid fuel, we have to consider 1 kg of fuel. If you burn 1 kg of fuel in presence of oxygen, and what is the amount of heat that is liberated, so that is nothing but calorific value of solid fuel, that particular fuel. Suppose if you burn 1 kg of any substance, that is solid substance, and what is the amount of heat generated or heat liberated, so that is nothing but calorific value of that particular fuel. At the same time, if it is gaseous fuel, so then we have to consider in terms of volume, that is 1 meter cube of volume we have to consider for successful combustion. So then what is the amount of heat that is liberated is nothing but calorific value of gaseous fuel. So there are two types of calorific value. One is called gross calorific value, and the second one is called net calorific value. Gross calorific value, we also call it as higher calorific value, and net calorific value, we call it as lower calorific value. So usually the calorific value is denoted by CV. C is nothing but calorific, V means value. So that is calorific value. So for gross calorific value, we denote it as HCV. HCV in the sense high calorific value, and net caloric value is nothing but lower caloric value. It is denoted by LCV. So what is the unit of this one? So unit of this one is easily you can find out, that is energy liberated by complete combustion of a unit quantity of fuel. So per kg you have to consider. That's why the unit of heat or unit of energy is nothing but joule. So joule per kg. So that is in case of solid fuel. If you consider solid fuel, then the unit of caloric value is joule per kg. Similarly, if you consider gaseous fuel, whatever the unit, that will be joule per meter cube, because we are going to consider meter cube. So meter cube is nothing but unit of volume, that is 1 meter cube of uh, gas. So that you have to burn, and what is the amount of heat that is generated, we call it as caloric value of gaseous fuel. The difference between these two, that is gross caloric value and net caloric value, is identified or determined by the latent heat of condensation of water vapor produced during the combustion process. Because after combustion, so in the exhaust, the whatever the combustion products, that is one of the main combustion product, that is water vapor, because water vapor will form. So this water vapor will consume some amount of energy. So that's why you will get whatever the heat, so that will be escape through the exhaust to atmosphere. So if you consider whatever the energy losses, so then that value will be net calorific value, because we are going to consider the loss of heat. So that's why whatever the value of heat liberated, so that will be only net value. So that's why we call it as lower calorific value of that particular fuel. So if you consider higher calorific value, so we need to condense whatever the heat. So instead of adding heat, you have to reject heat, so that again the water vapor whatever the present in the exhaust, that will be condensed. So when it will condense, again we have to cool down. So that is nothing but condensation of the water vapor, so at around 15 degree Celsius. So that is then there is no escape of whatever the combustion products to the atmosphere. So then whatever the calorific value you will get, so that is nothing but gross calorific value, or we call it as higher calorific value. So definition says gross calorific value is also called a high calorific value, assumes all vapor produced during combustion process is fully condensed. Because again we need to convert whatever the water vapor. So water vapor is always in gaseous form, so again we have to bring it back to liquid form. So then only whatever the energy losses you can save. So that is nothing but gross calorific value. The second one, net calorific value or lower calorific value. So assumes all vapors produced during combustion process without fully condense. So it will not condense, and whatever the water vapor, so that will escape through the uh, to atmospheric, so that there will be a loss in heat takes place. So whatever the value, so if you consider this, it is if without fully condensed, then the value will be always lower. So that's why whatever the gross calorific value is always equal to net calorific value and plus heat losses because of whatever the water vapor, the formation of water vapor. So that is nothing but gross calorific value and net calorific value. The fuel should be compared based on net calorific value usually, because we are going to uh, considering the loss, because you cannot condense, because again we have to condense the water vapor, that is gaseous, to again liquid form. So that is uh, highly impossible in all cases. So that's why, so for all fuels, that will be considered based on net calorific value or lower calorific value. So it is expressed as kilojoule per kg, because you can always usually they mention in kilo or just joule per kg. So sometime you can use this also, that is kilo calorie per kg for solid and liquid fuel. For gaseous fuel, that is kilojoule per meter cube, because we are going to consider unit volume. So this is about calorific value of different types of fuel, along with the two important classification, that is higher calorific value and lower calorific value. Next we'll see about combustion and combustion product. So you know what you mean by combustion. So combustion is nothing but chemical reaction that occurs between fuel and oxygen, so usually air, so thus producing a lot of energy, that is in the form of heat. So that is nothing but uh, combustion, because if you burn fuel in presence of oxygen, so you will get some of the combustion products. So combustion products is nothing but water and carbon dioxide. So along with the heat, because a lot of heat is formed, so that heat can be used for different work, because you know how the IC engine works. So IC engine works, so there will be different types of strokes. So after combustion, so you'll get power stroke, that is you know, so after combustion only you will get power stroke. So power stroke is nothing but it's also called working stroke, because work will happens in working stroke or power stroke, that because of combustion. So combustion means whatever the chemical reaction so that occurs between fuel. So fuel may be petrol in case of petrol engine, or fuel may be diesel in case of diesel engine. So these two are uh, a liquid fuel, so that will react with air. So after it will produce high heat, so that heat can be used for the movement of the piston or crankshaft. So because of this the engine will works. Similarly, many examples is for combustion. So that is LPG we are using day to day application. Similarly, we are using wood for burning. So many examples are there. So chemical reaction during combustion should be exothermic, so in nature. So that is amount of heat that is liberated. So there will be two important chemical reaction. One is endothermic and exothermic. So chemical reaction during the combustion should be exothermic in nature. Now coming to the next topic, that is combustion product. Fuel contains compound of carbon and hydrogen. So always fuel that is nothing but hydrocarbon fuels, because whatever the molecules that is of carbon and hydrogen. So when this burns in presence of air, so air is always consist of oxygen and nitrogen. So it will produce combustion products. What are the combustion products? Importantly, these are the important combustion product, that is carbon dioxide, water, carbon monoxide, and carbon are various combustion product. So out of these these two are very dangerous to the atmospheric, that is CO2 and CO. So as much as possible we have to avoid whatever the emission of these two surrounding. So for otherwise there will be a lot of issues to the atmospheric or environment. So some of the combustion product has various environmental effect, that is CO2 or CO, similarly SO2, because carbon monoxide is a poisonous gas produced due to incomplete combustion. So this will produce only there will be a incomplete combustion, then the formation of CO. So that is very poisonous gas. So if you exhaust these gases to atmospheric, so there will be a direct effect. So there will be environmental pollution takes place. So as much as possible we have to avoid this type of gas to the environment. And second combustion product, one of the other combustion product, that is SO2, that is sulfur dioxide. This also unpleasant odor, causes respiratory or some eye irritation, respiratory tract. So some of the problems related to human health. So this is about combustion products, and we have to avoid some of the dangerous combustion product because it has various environmental effect. Now coming to the next topic, that is one of the important energy sources, that is biofuels. So biofuels, the term biofuel refers to liquid or gaseous fuel for the transport sector, so that are predominantly produced from biomass. So now so there will be a lack of petroleum fuel, petroleum based fuel, because day by day the depletion of this takes place, depletion of these resources, and demand for the petroleum based fuels due to this reason. So you have to find some of the alternative fuels. The one of the best alternative fuel is, that is biofuels, that is with respect to biomass, the biological means of producing fuel. It's nothing but biofuel. So that is in the form of liquid or gaseous for transport sector. So that's why we need to know about biofuels. The biofuel resource base for biofuel production is composed of a wide variety of forestry and agriculture resources, industrial processing residue, and municipal solid and urban wood residue. So with the help of the waste or municipal solid or industrial residue, that is processing residue, some of the agriculture resources. So these are the main sources for biofuels. With the help of these we can produce biofuel, so that can be used as a alternative fuel. So you can see here some of the important biological residue. So from some of the forestry crops residue or agriculture crops and residue, sewage residue, similarly animal residue. So with the help of cow you can produce a gobar gas, so that can be used as a fuel. That is nothing but gaseous fuel. Similarly industrial residue or municipal solid waste. So these are the main biomass resources or biomass sources. And coming to the types of fuel, so there will be three important types of fuel, not only three, so there are more number of fuels, but these three are very important. The first one is fuel pellets. So these are made from wood chips, sawdust, agriculture wastes. They are used for combustion along with the coal fire power plants, but are not so popular because of higher environmental pollution, because the pollution is somewhat more in case of fuel pellets, so that is usually made from wood chips or sawdust for agriculture waste. The second one is biodiesel, because the lot of research is going on with respect to biodiesel, because this is the one of the best alternative solution for fuel, that is act as a alternative fuel for future generation. So that is nothing but a form of biofuel produced from non-edible oil seeds, so that can be formed with the help of many processes. One of the process is esterification. So we have to use certain oils here, so that is from environments, that is from biological means, such as Pongamia or Jatropa or soybean, sunflower. So many oil seeds you can use, and you have to produce biodiesel, that is in presence of catalyst. So that process is called esterification. So this is about biodiesel. And bioethanol, similarly many varieties are there. Bioethanol is nothing but produced from corn, wheat or sugar cane, so can be blended with petrol in order to reduce vehicle emission, because if you use petrol, so there will be emission to the environment. So you have to avoid as much as possible, because to avoid environmental pollution, so the best way is to blend. How to blend? So that is we have to produce bioethanol from corn, wheat or sugarcane, so that we have to add with petrol or diesel in order to reduce the vehicle emission. So these are the some of the important biofuels. Then what are the difference between biofuels and petroleum fuels? You can see here. The first one is produced from biological materials or biomass like plants, animal based source material. For biofuels, always the source will be plants or animal based, but for petroleum, formed from fossilized remains of dead plants and animal by exposure to heat and pressure in the earth crust. So this is usually always non-renewable one, because whatever this will form over a long period of time, so it will takes more than 1000 years to form. So once its depletion takes place, you cannot uh, use it. So that's why we have to take care of this while using this type of fuel, that is petroleum based fuel. But biofuel is always renewable fuel. So this is one of the major advantage. You can renewable this type of fuels, and reduces greenhouse gas emission compared with the petroleum, because petroleum always very dangerous, because the emission is very high and it will pollute environment, because all the petroleum waste consist of hydrogen and carbon. So it will produce harmful gases, that is combustion products such as carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide. So these are highly dangerous to the environment. And coming to the caloric value, so the caloric value is somewhat less in case of biofuels, but in petroleum is always very high because of reaction. A lot of heat is generated in case of petroleum based fuel. So caloric value is around 30 to 37 megajoule per kg in case of biofuel, and for petroleum based fuel usually 40 to 48 megajoule per kg. And this one is biodegradable and safer. So this will degradable one, but petroleum waste is always dangerous, because whatever the storage, that also very dangerous, because if it is reacts with the uh, atmospheric condition that such as temperature or pressure, so it is highly dangerous. There is a chance of explosion and all. So this type of fuels, it is nothing but oils, so that will be always safer. Next we'll see about two important global environmental issues. That is first one is global warming, another one is ozone depletion. The first we'll discuss about global warming. What do you mean by global warming? So global warming is nothing but gradual process of heating of earth's surface and whole environment, including ocean ice caps. So that is nothing but global warming. So heating of earth surface will take place, so that includes ocean or the melting of the whatever the ice beds. So that is nothing but global warming. So that is very dangerous process. According to Environmental Protection Agency, in the past century, there is an increase in the Earth surface average temperature by around 1.4 degree Fahrenheit. So there will be increase in temperature, uh, that is in the past century, thousand, if you consider 1000 year, sorry, 100 year. So there will be increase in Earth's surface temperature, so by around 1.4 degree. So it means that Earth is keep on Earth's surface is keep on heating. So we have to avoid this type of process. So how to control this one? So before that we have to know about what are the root causes for this global warming. So global warming is primarily caused by increasing concentration of greenhouse gases produced by human activities, such as the burning of fossil fuel like coal, oil, natural gas, because of environmental pollution. So that is one of the main cause. So we need to control these environmental pollution, some of the greenhouse gases that is produced by combustion. uh, so which are the greenhouse gases? Main greenhouse gases are carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, etc. So that will be very dangerous to the atmospheric. So that's why we have to avoid this type of gases to the environment. The second factor is deforestation. When the forests are cut down or burned, they can no longer store carbon, and the carbon is released to the atmosphere. So as much as uh, possible, we have to plant the tree, sampling of tree. So that is very important, because deforestation leads to global warming. So that's why the main important thing is carbon content to the atmosphere. As much as possible, have to avoid the carbon content to the atmosphere. What are the effects of global warming? So there will be a lot of effects to the effects. The global warming causes a lot of climate changes in the atmospheric, such as increasing summer season, because there will be imbalance takes place. The summer season will be more, and decreasing the winter season. The winter season will be get shortened. Increasing temperature, the temperature rise will takes place. Changes in air circulation pattern, circulation of air patterns that will changes. Rain without season, so rain will come in any season. The melting ice caps, so declining ozone layer. So that is uh, one of the important effects. So that is very dangerous. that is declining ozone layer. Next, occurrence of heavy storm, cyclone, flood, and so many effect. So there will be some of the natural phenomena, that is cyclone, flood, storms. So that will be very dangerous to the environment. So these are the effect of global warming. Now solution for global warming. So how to control global warming? So many awareness program we have to conduct to reduce global warming have been run and implemented by the government agency and business leader, private sector, NGO. So everyone should follow uh, whatever the awareness that is given by government agencies, business leaders, private sector, NGO, etc. Reducing the level of coal, oil burning, use of public transportation, use of electrical device, etc. It may reduce the global warming to a great level. So we have to find alternative fuel, so that will control the pollution. So that is the best example is go for eco-friendly device we have to search, such as electric vehicle instead of using petroleum based vehicle. So that is the one of the best, so that we can control a lot of pollution, because whatever the petroleum based vehicles, the exhaust that consists of carbon monoxide, so that will be very dangerous to the atmospheric, because atmosphere consists of one more layer. That layer is nothing but ozone. So the depletion of ozone also face a lot of problem to the human health. So that is about solution for global warming. So if you use public transports, that is the one of the best solution for global warming. So because instead of using car, bike individually, so better you go for bus, that is for public uh, transport for moving one place to another place. Now the another environmental issue, that is nothing but ozone depletion. So what do you mean by ozone depletion? The atmospheric of earth is divided into 5 layers, because you know this, there will be 5 layers from the closest to farthest layer of layers, that is troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere, and exosphere. So always earth surface is earth atmosphere is consist of 5 different layers, starting from troposphere, stratosphere, and mesosphere, and thermosphere from based on distance. So ozone is the colorless gas. What is ozone? Ozone is nothing but colorless gas which is found in the stratosphere of our upper atmosphere. So the ozone is lies in the stratosphere. It's nothing but colorless gas. The majority of the atmospheric ozone remains in the stratosphere, which extend from 10 kilometers above the surface to 50 kilometers. So this is the uh, ozone, a layer from 10 kilometer above the surface to 50 kilometers. The earth at stratosphere ozone layer plays a critical role in absorbing ultraviolet radiation emitted by the sun. So what is the importance of this layer? So that will help us by absorbing ultraviolet radiation, because ultraviolet radiation is very dangerous rays that is emitted by sun, and this ozone layer act as a protective layer, and it protects the earth from harmful effect of ultraviolet rays. So otherwise there will be so many health issues, such as one of the important issue, that is skin cancer of human, can lead to genetic damage. Hence ozone layer is essential to life on earth, as it absorbs harmful ultraviolet B radiation from the sun. So in the recent year, the thickness of this layer has been decreasing because of global warming, one of the main thing. So because of global warming and because of pollution, so many factors, so this layer, whatever the thickness of this layer has been decreased, so leading to create holes. There will be a formation of holes in these layers, that is in the ozone, and depletion of ozone layer takes place. So that is nothing but ozone depletion. And causes of ozone layer depletion. So what are the root causes? The main ozone depleting substance, so that is fluorochlorocarbon. It is used as a coolant in refrigerator, freezer, air in buildings and cars. Chlorofluorocarbons are main substance causing ozone depletion, accounting 80% of total stratosphere ozone depletion. Main causes for ozone depletion is this substance, that is chlorofluorocarbon. So that always presents in the refrigerator. We used coolant, that is such as Freon 14. Some of the Freon we studied already in the refrigerator chapters, that is refrigerant. So ammonia, freeze, that is different refrigerator, that is R14. So many are there. These are the main substance causing ozone depletion, accounting 80% of total stratospheric ozone depletion. The second one is halogens. It is used in some fire extinguishers. This is one of the substance. Third one is methyl chloroform. It is mainly used in industry for reducing vapor, some aerosols, cold cleaning, adhesives, chemical processing. So this is one more substance used in industry level for reducing vapor and for using such as adhesive and for chemical processing. Then one more is carbon tetrachloride. So it is used in solvent and some fire extinguisher. All these ozone depleting substance remain stable in the lower atmospheric region, but as they reach the stratosphere, they get exposed to ultraviolet rays. This leads to their breakdown and releasing of free chlorine atoms, because all this contains chlorine atoms, so that is very dangerous to the ozone, so which reacts with the ozone gas, thus leading to the depletion of ozone layer, because chlorine, that atoms, if present in the uh, atmospherics, that will react with the ozone gas, thus depletion of ozone layer takes place. Effect of ozone layer depletion. Next topic, what are the effect of ozone layer depletion? The depletion of ozone layer allows entering of UV rays from sun into earth atmosphere, which is associated with a number of health related and environmental issues. So that is one of the important effect of ozone layer depletion. So impact on human health, such as skin cancer, eye damage, damage to the immune system, aging of skin. So these are the, so many are there. So these are the important human health issues because of ozone layer depletion. Impact on environment. So UV rays affect other life forms too. It adversely affect the different species of amphibians and is one of the prime reason for declining numbers of amphibian species. It affects them in various stages of their life cycle, uh, from hampering the growth and development in the larva stage, deformities and decreased immunities in some species, and to even retinal damage and blindness in some species. Not only human, some other species also it will effect, that is effect of UV rays. So UV rays also have adverse effect on marine ecosystem. So adversely affects the planktons, which plays vital role in the food chain and ocean carbon cycle, affecting the phytoplankton will in turn affect the whole ocean ecosystem. This also affects the ocean ecosystem. UV rays also will affect the plants. UV radiation can alter the time of flowering in some plant species. So many effects will be there. So we have to control this effect, that is ozone depletion. So ways to bring down ozone layer depletion. So international agreements such as Montreal Protocol in 1987 have helped in reducing and controlling industrial emission of chlorofluorocarbon. So if you control fluorocarbon, chlorofluorocarbon, so that is one of the main remedy for ozone layer depletion. At individual level, each and everyone also can contribute towards reducing ozone layer depletion. Buying and using recycled product, saving of energy, using of public transport can do a lot in combating ozone layer depletion. One of the most important thing is we have to spread awareness about these environmental issues, mainly ozone layer depletion as well as global warming. We have to spread the awareness. We have to conduct some of the awareness program through NGOs or at school levels. We have to include some of the books uh, that is for students. So based on awareness, we have to bring down these environmental issues. So this is about environmental issues. So this is end of second class. Next class we'll discuss some more topics about energy sources. Thank you.